we started the band a long time ago, and when I was 20, I was at university in Leeds. Andy Gill, my songwriting partner, and I were both studying fine art, and we'd started writing in a very casual way music together, just with an acoustic guitar into a cassette machine, and it wasn't really very serious at that point, and I didn't have any thought of being in a group at all, because I wanted to be an artist. And in the summer of 1976, I got a research grant to study Jasper Johns, the American pop artist in New York, and Andy got a grant to study Gothic architecture in northern France. So he came to New York as well, on this money that he'd blagged. And we stayed with a friend of ours, who was a woman called Mary Harron, who lived in New York. She was the same age as us. She was also 20. She was a journalist, doing rather the same as you, actually, I think, but for a New York punk magazine. And she lived around the corner from a club called CBGB's in New York. And she'd just been going out with the drummer of this band called the Patti Smith Group, and a guy called J.D. Doxey. And every night, having been up to various art galleries and stuff in the daytime, we used to go to CBGB's club, which is a shitty club, about a tenth the size of upstairs. I mean, probably, if you had 150 people in there, it'd be absolutely packed. It was a really small bar with a tiny little raised stage. To be honest, it's not much bigger than, it's about as wide as this room, the club, and about twice as long. It's really tiny and horrible. And all the bands that were in New York then, who were unknown, were bands like Richard Hell and the Voidoids, Patti Smith Group, the Ramones, Talking Heads, Television, all these bands, and were all in the room, and everybody knew everybody else. And then when we came back to England, we thought we might as well start a band ourselves. Or we'd been talking about it, we decided to take it more seriously. And we came back, and then we started going forward. At the beginning we played kind of really sort of souped up R&B music that was I think kind of genre-line to start with. And I used to love a band called Dr. Feelgood, an English band called Dr. Feelgood, a punk band, and Funkadelic and Chic and James Brown and Velvet Underground, those sorts of. So it's a mixture of sort of noise bands and R&B bands and black music. And at that time, there was the English punk rock scene had sort of happened, which I didn't feel any great affinity to, because the music was so boring. I mean, I enjoyed the scene, but the music was it's like speeded up Black Sabbath, and it didn't have any funk to it, it didn't have any groove to it. And so we started writing. No one would give us a gig, so we built our own PA system. We bought all these army surplus parts from because we didn't have any money. So we used to sort of steal microphones and equipment, and we made a PA system out of old wood. We made the PA bins. A lot of my friends were Afro-Caribbean, West Indian guys who played with these sound systems. A lot of Jamaican friends. So they used to make these sort of big cannons, and so we made them out of a wardrobe that we'd found and just put it together, and it was so that we had something to play on. And then we bumped into the Buzzcocks, who were a punk rock band at the time, who were really nice, and we asked if we could play with them, and they said we could. And one way or another, we ended up coming up with taking the music more seriously. And then then we released Entertainment and 4 or 5 other studio albums. We toured America for a long time. We had a lot of really good support bands. We had U2 was our support band. REM supported us for about a year and a half. Pylon in America, the Specials, the Smiths, lots of bands supported us. And in America, where we were quite famous, there were bands who were starting up, like Pearl Jam and Nirvana. And Kurt Cobain used to be in a Gang of Four cover band called Red Set, and they all came to see us in Seattle, and it was very happening there. And then Andy, when we stopped after a while, and Andy produced the first Red Hot Chili Peppers album, and we wrote music on the first Karate Kid film, and then wrote music for. I worked as a house producer for a label, G Street Records. We used to do a lot of acid house records. I worked with PM Dawn and the Stereo MCs, and Andy was working with all sorts of acts, everyone from Michael Hutchins of INXS to the Future Heads and all this kind of stuff. And we knocked a few things out, and we've had music on films like The Manchurian Candidate and Marie Antoinette and all of that sort of thing. Quite hard going through this long list of things. And then we came to do this album, which has come out this year. We've just been touring all around America. We've just been on the David Letterman show in America, and we've been touring in Australia on the Soundwaves Festival, playing alongside Queens of the Stone Age and Social Distortion and Iron Maiden. So that's quite fun, isn't it? Yeah. And then playing our own club or theatre dates in Australia. And then we played last weekend. We were in Paris and Brussels. And last night we were in Cologne. Tomorrow night we're in Hamburg. That's it. Yeah, we played in the Tempelhof Airport, which is funny because I used to, when we came to West Berlin before long, when the wall was still up, I used to fly into Tempelhof, which is quite fun because you almost used to sort of dive into it because the East Germans didn't allow the plane to come in smoothly, so you had to drive like that and then dive into it. And Berlin was the best place to be in Europe because of all of the riffraff of Europe and the anarchists and communists and stoners and difficult people came here because you didn't have to do military service if you lived in West Berlin. So everybody wanted to avoid conscription lived in Berlin, and we had lots of friends in Berlin, and lots of people moved here. I mean, Bowie moved here and Iggy moved here for a while as well. It's very, very different. It's very, well, obviously, a wall not being there is it utterly transformed it. I mean, it was a very interesting and thrilling place to be when the wall was up, because you felt you were at the sort of frontier of this great battle against between communism and capitalism. And then driving through East Germany to get to East Berlin, there were only 4 or 5 roads that you were allowed to drive on. And you got your time stamp when you went into East Germany. And if you were too slow, they used to search the car to see if you had helping people escape from the GDR. And if you were too fast and you got a ticket, so you had to drive really, really carefully, exactly the right speed. And then all the East German shops where they wouldn't take their own money, they wouldn't take Ostmarks, or they'd take Deutschmarks or dollars. It was a bit strange. But it was really a lot of fun, and then you go through the tank traps and machine gun emplacement. Quite enjoyable in a sort of spooky way.